Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast, friend. Today's episode is one that I hope will be helpful to you if you are someone who tends to get triggered around money, which, that's a very common thing, is to have money triggers, especially if you're in business and especially if you're growing and evolving. Your triggers can start in one place, and as you expand, you might uncover new triggers, because when we do new things, we can, we're in the learning phase. And so we can get activated around different areas and aspects of money, of business. And so I really wanted to do an episode about this so that you can, number one, I think it might be helpful to even save this episode or take some notes during it and have a formula, have a little system for yourself for when you do get activated or you get triggered. Now, a couple of things that I want to normalize before we dive in is that money triggers are nervous system activations. They are not mindset failures. Your body is reacting to a perceived survival threat, right? Around security, safety, belonging. You really have to recognize that it is not your fault if you get triggered, right? It's not something to blame yourself for, shame yourself for, tell yourself you need to think positively about, or you should be in a different place. Nervous system response is truly a memorized state, typically from the past, right? And it's memorized in the body, in the cells of the body. That's why it can feel so instant. That's why it feels sometimes like it's not logical. Like a lot of times you'll probably say, my logical brain knows better, but I feel panicked. I feel urgency. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. I'm in scarcity. I'm triggered, right? And so your body is responding. And so it's not something you can necessarily think your way out of. There's a whole process, and I'm going to take you through it. And so the other thing that I just want to mention is that you also can't regulate money from a dysregulated state. So a lot of times when we're dysregulated, when we're triggered, all of a sudden we have this urgency and this panic and we want to do something. We want to go solve it. We want to go fix it. But you actually cannot regulate things. You cannot fix it. You cannot solve. You're not going to get clarity from this place. So it's not the time to do that. We're going to dive a little bit further into that in a minute. But step one is always regulate, then think, then act. Okay. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to actually regulate. I've talked a lot about how to think, or how rich people think, or how wealthy people think, or, new perspectives around money. I mean, the podcast is infused with episodes about that. But what I want to talk about in this one is how to regulate for when you're triggered, because we want to regulate first, then apply the mindset, then act, then take action. All right. So just to share a little bit about money triggers, just because it is going to look totally different for each person. So I just want to give you a couple of examples. Some of the most common ones that I see are triggers around scarcity or loss, right? Seeing your bank balance and it's lower than you thought, or having an unexpected expense come up, or sometimes you get triggered when you're looking at your business numbers and you have an income dip. Maybe you have a season that's lower, or you have a year that's lower, or you have a month that's lower, and it's very triggering, or like fewer sales than expected, or you get an email about a refund request, right? These types of things. There's many of those, but those are very common to have those scarcity triggers. But then there's also the triggers like comparing yourself to someone else or comparing where you're at to what your goals were. And that just being so triggering that you're not on track with hitting those targets. It can also be around debt. This is very common when you're looking at debt, and sometimes you just avoid it because you don't want to be triggered. But sometimes it's looking at those interest charges. It's those payment reminders. Each time they come up, you feel an activation in your body. Maybe it's your loan statements or, payoff timelines that you look at it and it's just overwhelming and you feel that trigger, right? But the one that sometimes people don't expect, but we see this all the time in the work that I do with my clients in both the money manifestation movement and in the Becoming a Millionaire Mastermind, is triggers around expansion and receiving triggers, right? Some people don't realize this, but once in a while, and this is actually common, I'm not even going to say once in a while, this happens often where you reach your goal or you have this success or you get a big, huge chunk of money. You get a big payment, you sell out a big launch, or all of a sudden there's this huge amount of money in your savings account, or, you start out-earning your partner or out-earning your past self. And all this emotion comes up, all this fear comes up. And a lot of times it's a fear around keeping it up, pressure of, having it, a fear of loss or safety concerns. But this is a huge trigger too. It's the triggers around success and expansion and growing. So we want to normalize that too. And no matter what your trigger is, there's so many that it can be, especially when we're in business and we're growing and evolving. We don't want to shame our triggers. We don't want to judge them because again, they're literally just coming from past conditioning, from past experiences. They're something the body has, normalized or responding to, and you can't actually help it. It's not coming from your higher brain, right? So it's something that the body is responding to. If you've heard of that book, The Body Keeps Score, right? The body memorizes things. And so that's what a dysregulated nervous system is. And so what we want to do is when we're in those activated states, those triggers, number one, it can be helpful to identify when you tend to get triggered. I teach my clients this because why that can be helpful is when we get in the trigger, sometimes it's hard to see that we're in it. It feels so real. Y'all know how it is. It feels so scary, so real, so panicked, like we need to urgently get out of it. And so our higher brain kind of shuts off. It turns offline and we are literally in that fear response. And so what can be helpful in order to start healing those triggers and regulating yourself is to identify when you tend to get triggered, right? And or identify the state that you go into so that you can start recognizing when you're in it. Because in order to regulate your triggers, the first thing you want to do is actually name it for what it is. Name the activation. I'm triggered right now. Saying that. My nervous system is activated around money right now. When you state that internally or externally, what that does is it separates your higher self from the fear. When we're just in the trigger, we are merged with the fear. That's why that panic feels so real. That urgency feels so real. The overwhelm feels so real. But the moment you state, I'm triggered, my nervous system is dysregulated, I'm in a funk, right? Whatever it is, I've always said, one of the things that resonated for me was my pain body is activated because Eckhart Tolle talks about, this as a pain body activation. And he calls your pain body as like these memorized old states, old emotions. Sometimes it came from childhood or our younger self or, past things that happened to us or traumas. I mean, sometimes even, depending on what you believe in, past lives, who knows where it came from, right? but it's like an old memorized state that's memorized in your nervous system. So I would sometimes say my pain body is activated. I'm in a pain body response. It's not the time to try and solve the problems right now, right? I'm in this. And so when you state it, it just separates you from it so that you can actually start coming back online, meaning your higher self can, your prefrontal cortex can start to come back online and you can start to regulate. Now, the second step is to orient to safety in the present moment. Because when you're triggered, no matter what your logical brain knows, what your body thinks is, I'm not safe, right? It does not feel safe. So literally doing a simple exercise like coming back to safety, which is looking around the room, naming 3 things that you see, 2 things that you hear, and 1 thing that you feel physically. So do that right now, no matter where you are. And just notice how you come into the presence. 3 things you see. I see a lamp. I see my window and I see some trees swaying out there. I see my curtains. Okay. 2 things you hear. I hear my husband has the TV on in the background and I'm hearing a little echo in this room of my own talking. Okay. 1 thing I feel physically, my elbow's on the desk. My other hand is on my mouse. That instantly brings you into safety. So in this moment, I am safe. And that's something that you can state is, in this moment, I am safe. I'm in this room. I'm here, right? Coming back into here. And so this is the next layer of regulation. Now, the third one, this one's big, is we want to regulate the body, right? Because the body is what's responding. It's not necessarily what your mind is telling you is a response to the dysregulation in your body, right? So if you have lots of stories going on right now, like, oh God, it's never going to work. I'm behind. I'm failing. It's not working. I'm unsafe. I'm never going to get out of this. I've been dealing with this forever. Those kind of stories are coming from the dysregulated body. So we're not going to thought swap. We're not going to try and think positive right now. What we're going to do is we're going to regulate the body, right? Physiologically. So a couple ways that you can do this is breathing. You've probably heard this if you've heard anything about nervous system regulation, because what that does, especially if you do long inhales and exhales, is it helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the rest and digest. That helps to slow down the nervous system and helps to start regulate it. So one thing that you can do is do 4-second inhales followed by 6 to 8-second exhales. So essentially you're just doing a shorter inhale and a longer, slower exhale. And that really helps start regulate things in the body. So breathing is huge. You can also do box breathing where you do 4 inhale and almost picture it as a box, right? And then you hold for 4. And then you exhale for 4. And then you hold for 4. And you inhale for 4. And just picture almost like drawing a box as you're breathing. 4, 4, 4, 4. Doing it as a box. And that can really, really help bring you into your body. Also, like putting your hands on your body. Put your hand on your heart and put pressure on it. Or put your feet on the floor and press down. Get really grounded in. Or do a shoulder squeeze. This one's really great, where you squeeze and tighten your shoulders, and then relax them. Come into the body, right? So you're basically signaling to the body, this is not an emergency. We're okay. We're actually safe. You're re-regulating it. You're teaching yourself that you're safe in this moment, that you can look at these numbers and you can be safe, that you are safe. Okay. And then from there, once you feel like you've done some regulation in the body, which there's so many different things you can do. Yoga is also really helpful. Stretching. You can go outside and put your feet on the grass or the ground. This is super regulating and really, really grounding is to really feel your feet on the earth. I love to lay down and then put my feet up the wall, like my legs up the wall. It's a yoga pose, but it really helps to bring yourself back into your body and just calm your whole system. So there's many different things that you can do, but the third step is always regulating your body, right? Physiologically, it makes all the difference and it will help to slow and reground you. The fourth thing that you're going to do then is a reality anchor, right? So when you think about it, this is orienting to the facts. What are the facts? And sometimes whenever I'm coaching people and we're doing some of this regulation work, I'll say, what is real now? Let's say they're panicked. I'm like, but what's real now? Let's come into the present. Like, tell me what's real in this moment. And I remember I had a client who started this practice where, every time she got triggered, she would start saying, you know what? There's enough food in the fridge. Let's come back to sufficiency, to enoughness, to regulating, to the truth. There's enough food in the fridge. I have a home over my head. I am safe in this moment. I do have enough in this moment. Money still exists. I've earned money before. I do know how to create value. This is just a moment, not a destiny. I do have resources. I do have options. These are the truths. So what is real now, just in this moment? Because what this helps do is reestablish agency, right? It brings your prefrontal cortex back online. It brings your higher brain, your wisdom back online, your intuition back online when you start orienting to what is actually real versus what is the story that your dysregulated nervous system is creating, which is probably like, I'm a failure. It's never going to work. I'm doomed, right? This stuff is not true. It's just your panic brain is creating those stories. So whenever you come back to what's real now, we're not even trying to say we're going to reach all of our goals and it's going to be amazing. And we're not even thinking like, let's say, quote unquote, all the positives and everything that's going to go right. We're just coming back to what's real in this exact moment. So helpful. Coming back and reestablish agency. Okay. The fifth thing that you want to do when you are regulating is to reassure the money scared part, right? The part of you that is scared or that's triggered around money. And I say that part because now that we've started doing this work, now that you have identified that you're in a trigger, now that you have, kind of come back into the body, you've established safety, you've anchored back into reality. Now you're going to start seeing and being able to separate, oh, this is like a part of me that's triggered. This is maybe my younger self, or there's this part of me that tends to get into scarcity. It might still feel real in that moment, but you're going to be able to start observing it a little bit more, right? And one of the best things you can do that will regulate like no other is to talk to that scared part, but in a compassionate, loving, nurturing way. You do not want to dismiss this part. That is not going to heal it, right? My favorite quote by my teachers, Ron and Mary Holnick, is healing is the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. In this case, we could say healing is the application of loving and compassion to the places inside that are triggered. So we want to calm and reassure, almost think of this part of us that's scared or triggered as a younger self. It's a child. So talk to it like a child because it's scared the way a child is scared. So you can say things like, I know this feels scary. You're afraid we won't have enough, but I'm here and we're figuring this out. And you don't have to do this alone anymore. We're going to figure this out together. I know it feels scary. I know we don't have the solution right now. I know it's not what we want. I think we got to be honest with that part. We're not trying to like shove positive thoughts down its throat. It's like, let's reassure it. Let's tell the truth. This isn't like the most comfortable feeling in the world. This is really a challenge that you're going through, and we're going to do it together. So it's about integrating parts, not overriding them. It's like having your higher wisdom or your adult self that came back online through regulation talk to the scared part. And I like to do this with my hand on my heart. It really helps for some reason. But actually, I was reading some studies from scientists who were studying regulation, and they were saying that if you do this out loud, it's actually more effective. So I know it might sound wild to talk to yourself out loud and say things like, I know this feels scary and I understand why you're feeling this way. Of course you're feeling this way. And I'm so here for you. We're going to figure this out together, right? It might sound a little bit out there to talk to yourself. It regulates even greater than if you just do it internally. Internally is effective too, but if you say it out loud, it's even more helpful. So practice that. Practice talking to yourself, talking through things, talking to that part that's scared, and just see what happens. This is where the healing is actually going to come in, so that these parts don't get as activated because they're not as scared because they have some part taking care of them, right, within you. Okay. Sixth thing. Now, this is something just to remember, is that when you are triggered, you want to delay decisions. You don't want to ever make big decisions, or if you can avoid any decisions from a triggered place. That probably should have gone as number one. Like, don't take action from this place. Don't make a decision. Don't try to solve it from this place. Because when you are in a trigger, your higher brain is not online. Clarity is not there. So you're literally acting from panic, scarcity, overwhelm. You're not acting from the truth. You're not acting from reality. You're acting from an older, younger part. So you can almost think of it as like an 8-year-old self is trying to solve the problem. We don't want to solve anything when we're in a trigger. So one of my rules for myself is actually I don't make decisions from a very high place, and I also don't make decisions from a really low place. I like to make decisions when I'm just in a more grounded, calm place. That's when your intuition comes online the strongest, is when you are in that sufficiency, that grounded energy, and a more calm energy. You can just think more clearly, and usually the answer comes to you. You aren't trying to solve it from panic, right? So one of my thoughts is the answer and the clarity is going to come, but like first I just have to regulate. Regulate first always, right? So no money decisions from activation. It doesn't work because again, you cannot regulate money from a dysregulated state. It's just not going to work well. So remember that. Delay decisions. And one of my thoughts is I'm going to feel differently later on, probably even later on today. And from there, I'll be able to like make a decision. I'm not solving a problem from this place. My only thing to solve is regulating right now. Okay. Now, 7th step, after you've done all of this groundwork and really regulated your body, regulated safety, worked with the part inside, once you actually feel more calm, when that returns, which it may take some time, it might not be instant. You may have to circle back and do more of that breath work. You may have to circle back and do more of that, hey, let's get present, let's look around. You may have to sit down and write down, what are the facts here? What is true now? What's present now, right? You may have to do some of those number 1 through 5 of these suggestions a few times and get yourself to a regulated state. But calm will eventually return. We can be patient with it. We're not trying to force calm. But once it returns, that's when you can widen your perspective and expand into sufficiency. And that's step 7, expand into sufficiency or even abundance, right? And that's where you can remind yourself money moves in cycles, income fluctuates, growth has plateaus, wealth builds over time. One moment is not equal to my entire trajectory, right? Even one season, 1 year is not equal to my whole trajectory, right? So we just kind of come back to what's actually real. And from there, come back to sufficiency, to where you are resourced, you have enough, you are enough. In many ways, you have more than enough, right? And come back to that. And from that place, that's where you are going to restore that long-term orientation, that long-term wealth mindset. So these, my friends, are suggestions that I have for when you feel triggered or dysregulated around money. And again, do not judge. It can be the littlest thing that dysregulates us. I mean, especially in business, when we're doing something new or different, or feel rejected or feel nervous, or, maybe you come from corporate America where you had more of a steady paycheck and you're still getting used to the fluctuations of business. Or maybe you saw your parents run businesses a certain way and you're fearful that you're going to run it that way, right? There's so many things that cause us to get triggered. And if you're a human, you probably get triggered. So this is going to be so helpful, hopefully, for you to, be able to go through. And again, this is an episode that you can save and really use when you are triggered. So I want to give you a simple 60-second reset that you can use if you have a money triggered. And it's going to help kind of walk through all of these. Again, you may have to do it more than once, but the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to state, I'm activated around money. It's true. I'm activated, or I'm activated around business. I'm activated around this email, whatever it is, I'm activated. Number 2, exhale slowly 3 times. So do 4-second inhales followed by 8-second exhales 3 times. Then you're going to put your feet on the floor and you're going to feel the ground. Feel the ground beneath you. Come back into the body. Then you're going to remind yourself, right now, I'm safe. Right now, I'm safe. Right now, I have enough. Right now, I'm safe. Right now, I have enough. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I know this is causing panic, but I really don't know what's going to happen in the future. But what I do know is right now I'm safe. Then you're going to put your hand on your heart and you're going to say, I've got you. I've got you. And mean it. I've got you. And number 6, remember, no decisions yet. There's no problem to solve from this state. The only intention right now is just to regulate myself back. And if you can get yourself outside, that is always helpful because nature naturally helps regulate us. So if you want to be regulated more often, get out in nature more often. Put your face in the sunshine in the morning, right? Go put your feet on the grass. Go for a walk, on a trail or through the woods or on the beach. My goodness, does that regulate us? So helpful. So I hope this episode is helpful for you. I hope it can help start, this journey of healing your money triggers because it makes all the difference. Money is something that we are going to be in relationship with for the rest of our lives. And it's something that we work with, deal with, are with daily. So the more relaxed you can feel, the more calm you can feel around it, oh my gosh, the better life you're going to have. Because no matter what, you will be in relationship with it. So let's create a relationship that's healed, that's healthy, that's relaxed, that's calm, and that's even abundant. It's totally possible. All right, my friends, happy healing, happy regulating, happy manifesting. I'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.